Just Google Sir No Face.
That's what I just did.
Okay. Anyways, and
Fred and I fight like brother and sister,
like cats and mice.
Yes,
and dogs and elephants. So the other guy gets his footage started, and he starts showing off his footage, and Chad's, Chad's been around this for a long time. He's not really
Craig.
I knew it began with a C.
Craig Powell.
Okay, there you go. Craig Powell. So Craig Powell is the leader of the West Sydney Paranormal team. Craig's showing off his best footage. Chad's basically jonesing for a cigarette break. So Chad gets up to leave the room to go have a cigarette break. As Chad's leaving the room, Craig says, and now this next clip I'm going to show you, we caught a full-body apparition. Now, this is where the documentary gets interesting because Chad basically confesses at that exact moment when he heard Craig say that in front of the group of people, his heart sank. Chad's initial instant reaction was, crap. I really wanted to like this guy. I really wanted to think he was genuine, but now I know he's just a hack. Because basically what Chad is saying, in the world of paranormal research, ghost hunting, ghost footage, there really is no full body footage of a full body apparition. That everything that anybody claims is a full body apparition on video
has been a hoax.
Has been a hoax that is fake. That there really is no genuine, and so that basically everybody that says that they have something is either an idiot or they're faking it.
And I'm going to be 100% honest. That's what made this documentary so intriguing.
Well, and Chad is beginning to lay a foundation of building a case and everything, and tell a story here. And he starts off doing he does a really good job telling a story. Again, it's just this was an over 2 hour thing that could have been told in an hour. But anyways,
which is
that's
the topic of a later time.
So Chad's heart sinks, and he thinks, "Crap, I'm basically befriending a hoaxer here." Chad decides to just at least pause as he's about to walk out the door and turn around. And he says when he stopped to turn around, he couldn't see the screen where the footage was being shot, but he could see the laptop that the footage was coming off of. So he had to basically stop and watch the clip off the laptop, waiting to see a big hoax. And then it happened. Sir No Face made its appearance. The full body apparition made its appearance, and Chad was like, "Oh my God. I think potentially
this could
be real, and the only real actual footage of a ghost ever." What do you need?
Your pen.
You need the pen.
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
Okay. So that's really where the story kicks in. So at this point, afterward, Chad wants to watch the footage again, and that's when Chad's like, he basically is like one of two things.
Well, didn't they go outside and he said to Craig, "I'm going to film your documentary, but it's going to go one of two ways. I'm either going to film a documentary about the most realistic ghost footage ever, or I'm going to film a documentary about the biggest hack.
Yeah,
ever.
The biggest hoax ever, yeah. So, but that's what Chad's thinking in his head. He's thinking, even before he approaches, like, I'm going to make a film, he's just thinking, I just witnessed one of two things. I either A, just witnessed the only true ever footage of an actual ghost that exists that will legitimately prove once and for all that ghosts exist, or I just watched one of the most incredible hoaxes of ghost footage ever.
Either way, it's worth research, and it's worth a documentary.
So Chad's like,
it's worth the admission of a ticket.
I want to look into this, and I'm gonna make a documentary on it. So he approaches Craig. He tells him his intention. He says, I'm gonna make a documentary about your footage. I want to show your footage to the world. But and he basically tells Craig, well, according to Chad, he tells Craig, I'm approaching this to try to debunk you. So one of two things are going to happen, like Matt just said. Either we're going to prove that your footage is real, or we're going to make you look like an idiot. And
Craig was like, bring it
on. Bring it on. So Craig said, I have nothing to hide. This is real. I'd love for you to do your thing, because if you can basically try to debunk it and you're unable, it essentially gives it more credibility, and at the end of the day, more people are going to see it. So he thinks it's real. He's saying he didn't fake it. So that's what the documentary is about. So where do you want to start? I think we got to start the process now. Basically, what Chad goes through the process.
So we've established that we've seen this full-figured, apparition, if you will, right? Can I go ahead and take exception?
Or should we go back? Should we go to the point where we see it? Should we talk about our reactions first?
I think
before we get into the.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Should we talk about that next?
So the big build-up here is that I knew going into this, as did Fred, and I mentioned that the big draw here was that I'm about 60-40 going into this. Maybe a little more, 70-30 that ghosts exists. I've seen stuff.
I used to be 100% once upon a time. Now I'm down to like 1%.
Right, which we can talk about. I've seen stuff, I've felt stuff, I've heard stuff that I can't explain. I know I've been in the presence of things that I can't explain. So I'm walking into this myself with personal experience. I'm not going to go too long unless Fred gives me the nod on whether or not... Okay, Fred's giving me the head shake, but...
We're going to have 25 minutes, and there's so much to talk about.
Okay, right. So
that's why.
So anyway, I have my own personal past experiences in which I'm pretty confident that there are things out there that can't be explained, right? But there's that...
I do, too. I should just say, and I want you to finish, but I believe that. I'm just less convinced that it's the ghost of a former person anymore. So in the definition of a ghost is what I'm having trouble believing in. I believe that there's other stuff.
So Fred unintentionally just segued into my butt.
Sorry.
Right? Not my... two T's.
Oh, jeez, I did not segue into your butt.
He segued into my however, right? So what I was saying is that I've seen all these things that I can't explain. However, but I was raised a Christian, believing that I raised a Catholic and believing that Bible is the only thing there is. So there's no mention in the Bible of ghosts per se, at least that are interpreted that way. So that's probably where that 30% is coming from. And so Fred's kind of hitting the nail on the head. I know something exists, but I can't say that it's a previous human being. So I'm going into this from the mindset of I'm a quasi-believer. So the whole build-up to me was this ghost. And there's probably, what, Fred, hour 20, hour 30 minutes before you even see the stupid ghost?
Yeah, and let's even pause for a second, because I think and again, I said I don't want to look back and say we forgot about things. So we have to set up the stage for the reveal first. So basically what happens is Chad's like, how did you get this footage? So the story is, in Australia there's this island called Cockatoo Island. We won't get into the history of it. You can look it up, but there's an island called Cockatoo Island that was once like, I don't know if it was a prison island at some point. It had a lot of different things over I think at one point there was kids on it. At another point, I think there might have been prisoners or a hospital. It doesn't matter. Cockatoo Island. And I believe what's going on is that the government of Australia is trying to turn it into kind of like a tourist spot.
Right.
Okay. So they've been investing some money into Cockatoo Island, putting like
they wanted to do like a haunted house.
Well, they had already invested some stuff in it to get people there, but it wasn't interesting enough. So like they had already spent money, but people weren't going.
So they wanted to create a haunted house through the captain's quarters.
Well, they wanted to capitalize on the fact that it was rumored to be haunted. They're like, well, let's try to capitalize on the fact that it's rumored to be haunted, and maybe that will bring more people to the island. So they basically I guess they decide step one, let's contact the paranormal research team and have them research or go investigate Cockatoo Island, see if they find anything to let us know. But I don't really know why. It's so gray, but you have to just assume that if they send a team there and they get some stuff, that only helps to build the fact that it's haunted. And it might just add to the draw, I guess.
I think that the West Sydney Paranormal Research Team, the WSPR, has kind of a cult following. I think they're pretty well known in that area. So by saying they've come here and researched this, whether it gives them credibility or not, it gives them notoriety.
No, I don't mean it gives them credibility. I'm saying that they're lending their credibility to the stories of it being haunted.
Whether it gives the government credibility on the island. If even it doesn't give credibility, it gives notoriety. And
that's more important.
That's more important here is the notoriety than the credibility. So I think they brought them on because they were popular.
I gotcha. So doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, this team is researching the island, and on one particular night, they're going around building to building, researching doing EVP sessions, taking pictures, setting up camcorders. But there's a particular building where
Captain's quarters.
Where essentially there's a room. I don't know if the whole building's one room, but there's a room. They put a camera on a tripod in a room and just leave the room. They go in, put a camera on a tripod, set it to night vision, leave, lock the door behind them. Now this room, all it is a room with a closet. Imagine a closet with no door. Okay, so imagine a closet space, just no door. It's just a square room with a closet space and a door to get in and out of the room. Only one way in the room, only one way out.
And this house,
and it's locked when they leave.
These quarters did not have one room because they showed the hallway with the motion censored lights going on.
Oh yeah, no, that's right. There's other things happening.
And then there was the other spot where they were all sitting in there, and the light just mysteriously flashed. So there are actually a series of leading up to the reveal. There are actually two other paranormal.
Let's take a minute on each of those. Go ahead.
There are actually two other paranormal things that happened here.
You pick one. I'll talk about the other.
Right. So I'll talk about. I'll talk about the hallway.
Sounds good because I want to talk about from a photographer standpoint the other one too.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense. So, and obviously this one's so easy to just throw out any number of theories to, and not a single person during the Q&A brought it up, which was I guess disappointing.
I think it just gets buried in what the whole
gets
thing
buried, just like you forgot, and I almost forgot, but I wrote it down in my book. So, which we talked about in podcast 2. So, they set up a camera on a tripod, aiming down this hallway. I guess where the bedrooms are. I'm not exactly sure, but picture a house. Then you've got a relatively long hallway with a couple doors coming off. They put up motion-censored lights, and they left the camera there. And apparently at one point during the night, the lights came on in a succession that would indicate that somebody was walking down the hallway. So that's event number 1 leading up to the reveal. Fred, I'll let you go with the flash.
So I guess the island has a rumor that there's a ghost. And at some point, some of the people say that they've seen a ghost. It looks like it's wearing military garb or something like that. So they, at some point, decide to call it Sir. And around the time that they decide, let's just start referring to this ghost as Sir, this weird light phenomenon began to occur. Where basically, they would be in a building and there would just be an immediate flash of light. Now, it is really weird. And you have to look at it. So I looking at just light and what I know how I'm a photographer. I work with a videographer. I work with light. I use strobes. I use flashes. The way that this light comes and goes. So even when they show it in the video and they freeze it, it's just a frame. When they pause it on that frame of light, it's just a frame. It's basically you're in pitch dark. All of a sudden there's a flash of light and you're back in pitch dark. And it happens so fast that even when they freeze frame it, they can't show anybody's reaction to it in the light because the light's gone before you even have time to register that a light just flashed and can react. So they freeze frame it in black, and then all of a sudden there's a frame of light, and then it's back in black, AC/DC style. Now, as a photographer, the closest thing that it resembles is a speed light or a strobe. But I know for a fact that if there's a scene where it just shows this group of people sitting on the floor Indian style in a room, and they're like, sir, are you here? Sir, if you're here, can you do your flash thing? Sir, can you make the lights go? And then it happens. It acts like a speed light, like a strobe, but I'm telling you, if you were in a room and a speed light went off, you would see the source. Even though it's that quick, your brain would be able to pick up where that speed light just flashed from. Now, let's say it was up in the ceiling. You would see that it came from a certain spot in the ceiling. If it was lying on the floor, hit in a wall, you would see where it was coming from. If it was coming from anywhere overhead, it would also cast shadows. In the frame where the room lights up, there are no shadows, which means that the light's coming from all over the place or directly above. I'm sure that but the brain would still see something directly above causing a light. That's one thing. Number 2, if somebody was in the room, let's say it was me hoaxing it. I'm just in the room and I have a speed light in my pocket and a wireless trigger or something. The fact that the speed light is on me, it would silhouette me, it would wrap around me, your brain would pick up on that. And the other thing is these people kept saying that it would start slow. Like they would start seeing some weird green lights and they would see some little lights and then eventually it would build up. So if these people are telling